Good morning. This is Robert Goodman from Positive Strokes, Staying Clean. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that you're here. I want to talk about, I have this set saying, keeping it real. And I want you to think back. I want you to close your eyes and think back. I want you to think about when you first came into recovery. Picture yourself looking at yourself when you first came into recovery. You see yourself in your mind? Now, I want you to go in the mirror and look at yourself and see yourself now. A difference, haven't it? Physically, there's a difference because you're taking care of your body. You're getting sleep, you're eating, your skin's cleared up. But there's one aspect of recovering that takes work and time, and that's the mental recovery. The mental recovery is a very complex process. Each person's process about mental recovery is different because what it is some people that get into addiction come from two parents, stable home, but there was something missing. So they look at the world and life a certain way. Then you have a person that's brought up by one parent. They look at the world and life a certain way. Now, you have these people that are in addiction. Now, some get sicker than others, and that comes from their past traumas, their past disappointments, the things that happen in their family, the things that happen to them causes them to look at their life in a certain way. That's why some people fall further down the rabbit hole than others, because of the trauma of their past emotional and mental destruction and addiction. That's why you hear the readings. Some get it quickly and some get it slowly, but it all materializes if we work for them. So the job does get done, but some situations it gets done slower. Recovery. Recovery is not a simple solution. It's not that simple. But the program of recovery, they keep it simple because it's a very complex problem. They keep it simple so you don't get overwhelmed about your recovery. In the beginning of your recovery, They try to keep you with the gratitude to make yourself feel good about yourself, about the small accomplishments that you're making, because in the beginning, you're going through the withdrawals of the drug emotionally and then mentally. Your body's finally getting food on a regular basis and it's getting sleep. So your body is going through a massive change. And when the body goes through a massive change, also the mental goes through a massive change also. But in recovery, you try to keep it simple and positive because there is so much negativity of our past actions in our addiction. There's so much pain that we went through. There's so much pain that we gave others because we needed our drug, that there's so much negativity that we have to show you the other side of recovery, because you can get overwhelmed by your addiction and the things you've done and was done to you to cause you to pick up in the first place. Yes. Recovery is a very complex thing, but it's the most important thing. And it doesn't have to be just on drugs. Anything that you put above your welfare and doing the right thing is an addiction. Anything that makes you act other than yourself or put yourself in harm's way is an addiction. Just because you do not have a drug problem, you may have an eating problem. You might have a gambling problem. You might have a woman problem. Every time you see a woman and she look good, you want to go sleep with her. You have a problem. You have a problem. But true recovery makes you look at yourself. True recovery makes you look at yourself. It makes you look at yourself and, well, I'll give you an example. When a person commits a crime and he gets arrested, all the evidence goes to the district attorney. And the district attorney looks at all this information and then looks at your past history and see if they can get a conviction. Then they want to see how much is the guaranteed of the conviction about the time. Is there a crime within the structure of the sentencing agenda? So we want to be like the district attorney with like a recovery. We want to look at our situation honestly, gather the facts about the situation, and make a sound decision. Recovery means owning up to your mistakes. Recovery means making a better choice after you messed up. Recovery means moving forward. Recovery means accepting your faults and the faults of others, to forgive others for what they have done to you and ask for forgiveness for what you've done to others, and accept whatever's told to you. if you hurt someone, they have a right to never have nothing to do with you because that's their choice. Or they can understand and have compassion and understand your circumstances, why you did what you did, and maybe there's a reconciliation involved. But everybody's different. Everybody looks and feels about the same situation differently because of the way they was brought up and the good things and bad things that happen in their life. I know if something bad happened to me and the circumstances look the same, then I'm going to get that negative feeling that the same thing is going to happen again if I allow that person to give them another chance. Because my mind's like a computer, just plays back the narrative of a situation that looks like the present, but it's not. That's why I say I'm my worst enemy, because I can get false information from my brain to make myself do something that I think that's right, that is totally wrong. That's why I have to pay attention to myself, because I can hurt myself much quicker and much harder than anybody else can. All I have to do is watch what I say, what I do, get the right facts, and come with a sound conclusion. But I must understand that I am my worst enemy if I don't pay attention to myself, because I'll get the wrong information and I'll believe it. And how I came to this conclusion is I fed myself false information for 40 years. I was out in my active addiction for 40 years. I did stuff that I will never talk about. And I did to people. But I was out there. Why? Because the information that I thought that was true wasn't. I believed what I thought was true, and it wasn't. And then it all hit me. We are all imperfect people. We're all going to make mistakes. And I got to accept that. That's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow. But I must remember that life is in session at all times. Life is in session at all times. Life doesn't stop just because you need some rest. It's still in session. You just disconnecting from what's going on. So regenerate yourself. You get yourself energized. So when you wake up, you can deal with whatever you have to deal with. But life is always in session. You know, I've been to prison, and after you do a period of time in prison, and then you get out and you go to the areas that you've been around, the whole area looks completely different to you. And then there's some things that are not even there no more. And it makes you feel like, wow, man, I've been going a long time. And let you know that the world doesn't stop. Life doesn't stop. It continues on, whether you're in prison or living freely. Life still goes on. But it's just interesting. And then the sad thing is that my first time being in prison and when I got out, I wanted to make up for everything that I didn't have or didn't do. Or I wanted the pleasures that I didn't get while I was getting in prison. I wanted them now. I'm out. I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to party. And here we go back right down the rabbit hole. Because I had no intentions of stop using it at that particular time in my life. So when you get out of prison, well, there's two things that you want. You want to celebrate, and you want female connection. But but that female connection, you're just getting out of prison, so your choices are not good. So some of us just doesn't go down that rabbit hole. But we just want to party and have a good time. We want to medicate ourselves, talk noise. Like we're going to have it going on since we just got out. We ain't got a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. Pumping our own selves up in our minds that we're going to be all that. But I remember my last time in jail. I said, I'm done. I am done. I will do whatever it takes to make my life better. That's when recovery held me tight, and here I am today. Because I kept telling myself, and then I share this in all my videos, if I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, then I wouldn't have this problem today. I ain't blame nobody else. Oh yeah, there's people that helped me along the way, further down the rabbit hole. Some people even pushed me in the rabbit hole. But what I'm saying is that it's up to me to make Robert better. Just like it's up to you to make you better. And that's the truth. That's keeping it real. I can't recover from addiction if I don't work on myself. That means that I ain't got a whole bunch of time wondering about what Charlie's doing down the street or Sarah Jane's doing up the street. That's none of my business. Because if I do that, I'm taking the focus off of myself and I'm putting it elsewhere, which I'm not grounded and rooted in recovery, which is going to cause me to go back down the rabbit hole. Why? Because I'm not paying attention to myself. I learned that I'm 66 years old, and I learned that most of my mistakes that I made in my life was not paying attention to myself. The most mistakes I've made in life was not paying attention to myself. And that's the truth. And a lot of times I wish I did, because I wouldn't have caused the pain that I had to go through for creating the situation that I created for making a bad choice. I know I'm imperfect when I make mistakes, but I make less mistakes when I pay attention to myself. I make less mistakes when I pay attention to myself. I look at things not the way I would like them to be, but the way they are. And it hurts sometimes because some situations you wish that they was different. You wish they was a certain way. But due to my upbringing and my life, I look at things. I didn't have the pleasure of looking at it in a good way. I had a lot of negativity in my life. I had a lot of trauma in my life. So I was on point 24/7. I was on point. I may not have liked what was going on, but I knew what was going on. And I had to live like that to protect myself. Because I didn't have nobody to kick it and vent and express what's going on and get some sound information. I learned it from book knowledge, observing people, and watching people and learning how they do things and find a better way of doing it. That's how I learned anything and everything that I've up to this point in my life. It's just like for me to become assistant plant manager for a company, I came at the bottom when I got that work that started with that company. I started at the bottom. But what I learned was the worth ethic that my uncle taught me. He said, if you clean the toilets, you be the best cleaning toilet person in the world. And I understood what he meant by that. So when I got that job, I learned that job, and then I learned the jobs connected to it. As time went on, I kept learning more and more. I learned everything I could about that company. And every time they needed somebody to do something, I was right there to do it. And they thought I was well educated because I knew how to do it. But the point is, I wasn't well educated. I watched people do the job. I learned from them. And then I found a better way of doing it even faster because I stayed focused on that. And I went right up the ladder and became assistant plant manager. And that's the truth. So what I'm trying to say is that if we pay attention to ourselves, we know our good points, we know our bad points. If we look at them objectively, we can make sound decisions and change our behavior, make ourselves better. And as I made myself better, I found out I didn't have no power. I had no control. What they told me early in the program, I have no power over people, places, and things. And more I focused on myself, that's what I came to a conclusion with. I understood that. I respected that. Yeah, well, loved ones do things that we don't like. Yeah, they make mistakes. And it's difficult at times. But I look at it reality-wise. They have the right to make a good and bad decision. I don't want them to make a bad decision. I want to see them flourish. I want them to see the grow to live their best lives. But they can't live their best lives if they can't find out who they are, where they're going, and what they want to achieve with their life. They have to figure that out. They have to figure that out. They got to figure out what type of work they want to work, enjoy, how they want to work, who they want to work for. They must have a desire to build themselves up financially and do something that they like. The interesting thing is when people go to college and they learn, they get a degree. That means basically what they're saying is, this is your baseline. Your baseline is 100 grand. So you can get jobs worth 100 grand. This is under your field. This is what you can make. You went to school so you can make this kind of money. Basically, that's what it is. These are benefits that you're going to get for doing this job. So you went to school so you can get these type of benefits. And this is, you felt that you will live your best life doing this job. And that's what a lot of people do. But us poor folks like me, because I wasn't born rich. I was a welfare baby. So as far as I got is to an associate's degree. That was it. But the work ethic that my uncle taught me made me soar to be the best that I can be. And I'm very grateful for what he taught me. So, in ending, I just want to say that check yourself, observe, understand you are your worst enemy if you allow yourself to be. When you make a decision, it's a bad one, ask yourself why. What made you want to go that route? Or you hurt somebody. Why did you want to hurt them? What is so bad about you hurting them? What's the reason? Understand why you do the things that you do. Because the more you pay attention to yourself and understand why you do the things you do, then you won't make them same mistakes anymore. Or basically, you won't go down the rabbit hole. See, the more we understand ourselves, the more we know ourselves, the less mistakes we make. I'm not saying that you ain't gonna make no mistakes. You're gonna make some, but you'll make less. And that's all we can do. This is Robert Goodman for Positive Stroke, Staying Clean. I'm glad that you took the time to listen to what I had to say. I have over 300 videos here. Subscribe. Go through them. Find out. Get the information that may help you. It's free. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. That's what I would like you to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Check out some videos. It'll always be here. I'm not stopping making videos. I'm making more videos. And I'll be making more videos and more videos and more videos. And it'll all be right here. Because my goal is for you to live your best life. For you to have inner peace. To you enjoy waking up in the morning and having a smile on your face. Appreciation who you are today. And how far you've come to get to where you're at. How much hard work you've done on yourself to get where you're at. And if you do that, You protect yourself from not going down a rabbit hole. I like, they write a gratitude list. They tell you in the beginning, write a gratitude list. Me, what I did was every single thing that I accomplished, that I've overcome, if I wrote it down and I overcome it, I wrote it down. And then the next thing I overcome, and I wrote it down. And when I overcome it, the dates that and when I went back to look at that stuff, and I said, wow, man, Rob, you were working. You done accomplished a lot, man. And that's when I realized how far forward I came. How far down the road in recovery I came. Because I remember and looked at where I was when I started in recovery and where I'm at today. So do that for yourself. When you're feeling low, when you think that the things ain't working out right, you're losing your grip on recovery, think back to when you first came into recovery and the things you've overcome each time in recovery to get to the point where you're at today. And if that don't give you gratitude, I don't know what will. You should be glad. We should have gratitude. You should be proud of yourself. You should be happy. And it should give you the power to keep going forward. Because you did it. Nobody else did that. Just like when you could say, I did the 12 steps. And when you sit back and think about all the stuff you went through and all the pain and emotional feelings that you went through when you was doing these, and then you didn't got to the end. After these steps, we try to carry this message to addicts and help addicts to their principles in all their affairs. It's not what it said, but basically, the 12 step is carry the message. Carry the message. You know, carry the message. Oh no, I can't leave it like that. I mean, you know, usually my mind is, I'm old. Usually my mind tells me I have no problem saying the 12 steps. I used to say it without no hesitation. But I guess then I got old. And let me see, here we go. And let me read the 12th step to you. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. As a result of the wreckage of our past, the last thing we expected was an awakening of the spirit. We just wanted to stop hurting. These steps led to an awakening of a spiritual nature. That's after the 12th step. Waking up a spiritual nature. And it makes me think back that a power greater than myself restored me to sanity. And if I pay attention to the steps, then it's me. For me, I say it's God. They say everybody look at their own situation the way they want to, but for me, I believe that God stepped in when I was willing to do the work. It made me realize when I'm willing to do the work on self, I get blessed. And this is what recovery showed me. When I do the work on self, I get blessed. It just happens that way. When I do the work on self, I get blessed. And here's another thing. when a situation comes and it seems like it overwhelms me or catches me off guard, Program Recovery say, one day at a time. Keep it simple. Don't worry about it. Just sit back and all will materialize if I work for them. And the next day or the later that day, everything falls into place. And then it makes me understand that, okay, I had these feelings, but they're just feelings. I'm overwhelming myself with these feelings, which causes me to make bad decisions, which I will hurt myself in the bad decisions that I make. So I have to sit back sometimes and bite my tongue and let go and let a power greater than myself take care of the situation. Because I ain't got no power. Well, this is Thursday. I hope y'all have a great and wonderful Thursday. I'm happy that you're clean and sober. I'm happy that you take time to visit my channel and view my videos. I really appreciate that. I hope it works for you because my main goal is for you to live your best life. And you have a wonderful and great day.